Command, quand un bras sait porter la paix, il sait porter la croix. Tant l'histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. You Royalists.
You're the man, see? Thank you.
And we are underway with our final match of game number 1. It is Team New Brunswick taking on Newfoundland here to wrap up day number 1. Dan Hobson along with Matt Melanson. And from Maritime Athletic Pro Trials crew here. It's been an interesting day. Started the day off with some hot, muggy, warm temperatures, sunshine. Some rain has moved in. It's cooled it off a bit, but sun is starting to try to break out here as we're close to the conditions of what we were playing earlier. Brought over here. New Brunswick in the black, Newfoundland in the red. Back to the middle they go, looking for try to get something going. Here is New Brunswick here, as I said. Team that's in black. 45-minute game duration, so this half is going to be about 20 to 23 minutes to play. There's a lot of full team. Of course, these players playing on different league teams throughout the year have to come together to play at a provincial championship, but as we've been talking to the players throughout, know very well that it's been sort of like a quick turnaround and get a chance to play with each other real quickly. And ball down on the outside. Bance. Smith also up there, has it momentarily brought down. Yansanik. Nice ball. Majoke.
Newfoundland's building some momentum nicely here. Stringing the phases together. Chad Mahoney's got the arm out for advantage.
And the whistle stops play. Tap and go, and back comes. They come the other way. Nice clean passes to the outside.
Of course.
Yeah.
But yes, very accurate.
Yeah. So I know you probably have a chance to, look at some of these teams. What would you say is some of the strong things about the team from Newfoundland Labrador?
I think it's the first chance to see them so far this year, and the teams at these ages change so much, but even just in these opening minutes, they seemed to, that bit of passing was very accurate, and they strung some phases and some nice runs together early. So
Brunswick in possession as they bring it back right up in the middle of the pitch near the sideline here. And back into the middle. So, of course, Newfoundland Labrador, the Rock, a very solid rugby program. What do you think that New Brunswick's got to do here to be a key for success for them?
Well, they're far off the mark taking that penalty. I mean, New Brunswick looked sort of a nice mix of dynamic and hard runner. So, I mean, I think they play their game, and they were keen to go quickly there. So I think that shows a little bit of intent that they're New Brunswick looking to attack and put some tempo and put their dynamic runners on the front foot.
Quinton there. Big hit gets a reaction here for the crowd. It's pitch side, getting a view of this one. Banks. Yeroshenko. I can see that they those nice short passes. It's just can be hard to defend. So if you're a defender here for like New Brunswick how do you defend like the short pass? Like
I mean, you look to defend as a unit, and you defend as a line, and you all have your own responsibilities, and there's a bit of philosophy from team to team that comes into that. But if you've got the person with the ball and your teammates got the person they're passing to, then hopefully over the course of your whole defensive line, you've got everything shut down. But obviously, if there's disjointed parts of the defense or they're not up all at the same time, then some passes that put the ball into space where people can run forward are great. It's very smooth hands. Newfoundland's moving the ball very well.
Smooth hands was good year. New Brunswick maybe not quite ready for that pass. It's going to be whistled down on the knock-on.
Yeah, the ball moving very nicely. Newfoundland will be happy with these opening 5 or 6 minutes.
Such a difference, like when you play like the 30-minute game and then you have the 45-minute game, is that sometimes that the momentum that the team scoring first, they carry it over. So it's kind of been important in these 45-minute games to get that first score.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more time in the long game for it to breathe, for the momentum to kind of shift back and forth. But yeah, here, one or two scores can really feel like make the game.
Cochran to Hiller. Along that far sideline. The Rock trying to push that rock. Yeah.
Get the New Brunswick player off their feet and show they're not supporting their weight and drive over. That's textbook stuff.
Chater. So Newfoundland Rock, they're pressing here. Trying to get that first try as we're coming up to the 8-minute mark. But New Brunswick coming up with it and push it up. And then just like that, they turn it over quickly.
Turn it right back over.
Over to the hands of Cochran. Banks. Outside, Dawson. Sophie Dawson. And into touch.
I mean, sometimes you don't want to run into touch or end a play with a knock-on, but sometimes when you string enough faces together and you make enough territory, you could still be happy with the result, that it's going to be a lineup that New Brunswick are going to feel a lot of pressure to win right down this close, that, again, they're going to look to probably kick right back to you.
Eva Banks tying her shoe, getting ready here for this line out. And once again, New Brunswick there, and they're trying to kick it out of harm's way, but don't really get it too far down the pitch as it's caught there by Quinton, who's trying to get to the outside. Quinton puts on the brakes.
Yeah, sort of a disorganized kick there. I'd say the rest of the team didn't necessarily know they were kicking at that moment, and that makes having a sustained chase difficult, and they end up offside.
And what the purpose was, they were trying to get it as a tap and go by Newfoundland. Yoroshenko. A knock on.
Oh, he's got a knocked on and then played by a player in front of the knock on, so it'll be a penalty instead of just a regular scrum.
Pass was attended there for Jessica Smith. It had some difficulty there. New Brunswick.
Oh, and I think that may be the same call. Yeah, knocked on and then played by a player in front of the knock-on. So that's a penalty. And for two sort of small lapses, have given away a big pile of territory here.
Yeah, the Rock were pressing. They couldn't get it into the try line. And now New Brunswick
Well, it was a very
We'll get
nicely
that
weighted
into
kick.
touch, yeah. So New Brunswick try to get something going here on this possession at the 10.5 mark. Pretty good conditions to be playing right now. It was like when the sun was out, it was pretty hot. We had, of course, the weather delay in our previous game. It's perfect rugby conditions. So I'll leave it to you, the player, but you could discuss the conditions right now. It's just
Yeah, I
lights
was,
to come
I
on.
was saying to some people in our delay that there's a certain kind of rugby player that they love the rain, love the slop. They want to play in the mud. I was always sort of a fair weather rugby player, and yeah, a nice mild day like this, keep the temperatures a little more reasonable.
New Brunswick here trying to cut towards the middle.
Just
Look like they got something brewing.
Defense, yeah.
Shoestring tackle there by Newfoundland.
Well, they had a chance to compete for that turnover, but that may have been their best chance.
Yeah, whistle stopping play once again. Is under 10 to go here to halftime. New Brunswick looking and threatening. Hey, you might as well just give it to the big girl. She'll take it in the rest of the way, and goes by a few Newfoundland Labrador would-be tacklers and gets it in for the try for Team New Brunswick, and they'll take an early lead.
Very,
Weren't
very
able to get information on the roster here for Team New Brunswick because of the delays at the one game going on after the other. So, but that was almost like the Rock were pressing, and then couldn't. As you said, you talked about those two big mistakes, and then New Brunswick just took advantage, went down the pitch, and got the try.
Yeah, I mean, that second kick for touch ate up so much territory. They went from almost being inside their 22 to down near the Newfoundland 22.
And they'll successfully convert it to make a 7-0 lead for Team New Brunswick. Oh, we've seen that like in an earlier action today, is that a team would come down, they'd be knocking on the door a couple of times, weren't able to get over, weren't in to get the try, and next thing you know, the other team goes the other way and scores. It's sort of seen that scenario before, and it was the case in point this time for New Brunswick.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the game flows back and forth, and you get your chance to attack, and you've got to maximize them. It doesn't fit perfectly, but it sort of fits that way that, teams exchange possession. You don't hold on to it forever, so you're going to get a chance again soon, and you've just got to maximize your chances.
Restart taking a friendly bounce here for Newfoundland Labrador. And
got that
knock on right within distance of the try line here, so scrum coming up.
So a great outcome for Newfoundland to try to respond back here.
And seen this so far at the championships as well. One team comes down and the other team tries to quickly strike.
If they're able to secure possession at the back, get there.
Banks. Dawson. A swing out. Dawson once again. Ball on the turf here at Kings Edge Hill School. scooped up. Ball possession has been in favor of Newfoundland a lot here in this first half, but they were unable to get anything in terms of a try. New Brunswick went down first possession and score, but hoping to change that is Sophie Dawson. Dawson in, down, and gets it down for the try for Newfoundland. The quick strike that we've seen throughout the championships is live it up once again, and for the meantime ties it.
Fantastic run. She keeps applying pressure. She's running a gap between two defenders and really forcing the issue and seeing if either one, that's a pretty classic thing across all sports. See if you can put people in a position to have to make a decision, and she finds that gap. Is able to wheel in a little bit more, another 5 or 7 yards or so. See if this kick is makeable.
Yep, just take a look at the try there from Sadie Dawson. Once again, from field level. And Quinton with the conversion. And up and over and in. Make it 7-5. So sometimes you see that in a sport that the conversions can be sort of like the make and break of these as well.
Yeah, if you're scoring a few tries and you're leaving, 4 or 6 points on the table, that stuff can add up, especially in the short games. And you tack a penalty 3 on here or there, and you can, ride off into the sunset from the scoreboard.
Restart. Right on. Into the hands of Team Newfoundland right off the kick. Swung to the outside. It's going to be Sherman going back there for Newfoundland. Newfoundland going the other way with it, but Cochrane hoping to change that. Ball on the turf. Brunswick fighting for it. Going to be advantage for New Brunswick. Can they capitalize? You can see that New Brunswick is a team that, boy, you make mistakes and they're quick to capitalize.
Yeah, they've got some dynamic runners, and they've got that mindset to transition to attack quickly and take the space when it's there. And, yeah, you make a few mistakes and you find yourself back on your own goal line again.
Bit of a battle right now on the pitch. New Brunswick's 5 trying to go up the middle. Now runs into a wall. That'll just happen to reset back out to 10. Twelve trying to get it shy of the mark, but followed up there by 9. And she gets it down for the try. It's what we just said a couple of seconds ago. You all of a sudden you make a couple of mistakes and New Brunswick capitalized on it, and they've scored another try here.
Yeah, we'll see if any lead can be safe for more than 5 or 6 minutes. We'll see if problem will be for Newfoundland. We'll take a minute or so for this kick. We'll have to go back up. We'll have to have the restart, and we'll be running low on time even for Newfoundland to capitalize on another mistake if it were to happen.
So we should be in for a very good chess match here in this second half, based upon the way this first half has gone for New Brunswick and Newfoundland. And successful on that. Makes it 12-7. So the way the script that has been going is you score, I score, you score, I score.
Yeah, and here we come up with the, this kickoff will happen about 20 minutes in, so.
It's going to have to be a quick response here for the Newfoundland Rock. And they're trying to. As Banks gets that clean bounce. Gets the Newfoundland bounce, but it's New Brunswick that gets possession of it. Getting close
it's
here
doing
to
well to
nearly
stay in.
injury or extra time added on. Oh, nice little burst of speed. Oh, and a big move and a big tackle there by Banks. As New Brunswick was hoping to maybe go back to back and get a little bit of some separation here before the half. O'Brien. Dawson. Brought down. Smith looking for it here for Newfoundland.
Yeah, they're very happy to move the ball side to side. They just need to be careful to make sure they've got some options straightening up and running hard forward as well.
Yaroshenko. Hands it back here to Banks. Tough mileage here for Team Newfoundland. They say getting close here to injury time. New Brunswick with the steal. New Brunswick. And they'll put it down. That's a tough one there for Team Newfoundland. The Rock, here they were battling, fighting, and then New Brunswick, the queens of capitalization, and put it in.
Yeah, you think 20 minutes gone. We've got a Newfoundland kickoff that they recover, and within a minute and a half, New Brunswick scored again.
Yeah, it's a double-digit lead. First one we've seen today. 1, 2, 3, and off to the races. Number 20 was there for New Brunswick, and they get it 17-7. But not the easiest of conversions here from that far sideline. No wind, so that's not going to be much of a factor here. In what possibly could be the final play here of his first half.
And
as it is, so short of the conversion, but a big strike here by New Brunswick to go to the break on a happy note for them, leading by 10. So quick thoughts here on this first half here between Newfoundland and New Brunswick.
Yeah, I thought it's been competitive. I think the ability of both teams to move the ball, and Newfoundland looking to move through the hands and play side to side and find the gaps. And New Brunswick, of course, transitioning to attack and jumping on turnovers. But I think both teams will have things to go into halftime feeling good about.
So we're going to step aside for a bit, but you have a chance to check out some of what you might have missed there with a replay package during this break. So we'll be back in just a couple of seconds with more action here from Windsor here on Maritime Athletic Profiles YouTube. And we're back underway for the second half between New Brunswick and Newfoundland. New Brunswick up by 10. 2 quick strikes late in that first half for New Brunswick to give a double-digit lead. As we welcome you back, Matt Malotson, Dan Hobson, the rest of the Maritime Athletic Profiles crew here this one. So definitely one of those quick strikes from New Brunswick seems to be been their game plan of tallied up 17 points, because all of a sudden it's like they've just been capitalizing on some very small Newfoundland errors.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the adjustments Newfoundland made at halftime. And the ball's moving nicely. They're getting out the wide areas. Happy to recycle possession.
Ball on the turf here of Kig's Edge Hill. And once again, they just seem to find a way. We're looking to strike quickly, but ended up losing possession of the ball. But you can just see that it's a very, very talented, we talked about it in that first half a lot, a very talented New Brunswick team. They've set here to the championships. Both teams happy to be playing here under the lights at King's Edge Hill. Having a little bit of a delay because we had a weather day in our first of 2 evening games. Had some lightning and clouds and rain in the area. It is cleared aside.
Yeah, I think lucky to have the facility and the lights and able to go on really as long as we needed to.
And the Brunswick looking to try to strengthen this gap here. Getting close. They can taste it. And they will get it down for another try. So 3 back-to-back strikes here for New Brunswick. Have them up 22-7. As we take a look at it here on the replay, and you get down to that territory, it's a short little bit of a field to work with and very hard to defend.
Yeah, just looking to win. If you can win shoulder height battles and get your shoulders lower than the defense, you're going to get an inch or two at least, and if you can keep piling those up and recycling possession, it's a very hard area of the field to defend.
Eve getting set here for this conversion here for New Brunswick. Near post. It hits the post. The Chris Collinsworth doink, as they say.
Yeah, struck it well. Gave it a chance, but started a little too left.
So we'll stay at 22-7. So this almost has been sort of like the 2 different games in this match, because Newfoundland got off to the good. They had a good start, had lots of ball possession. And then, of course, they were sort of going back and forth. But ever since then, it's like New Brunswick has gotten 3 quick strikes, 2 in the late stages of the first half and 1 here in the second.
Yeah, and that just maybe a little bit of depth and a little bit of game understanding. I mean, the tricky part is the scoring. So, they're clearly building their skills and they're passing well and running on. But, yeah, you want to be clinical, and sometimes you need that bit of dynamic carrying or somebody to break a run. Because once you do that, then you keep the momentum up and it's easier to score. But so New Brunswick seems to have a few more of those people that might at any moment go for a big run.
Restart didn't go the full 10, so scrum it is near midfield. New Brunswick, they put on the brakes. That was Ellie there for Team New Brunswick. Still pushing, still moving the legs, just pushing that Newfoundland Labrador pile back. Once again, New Brunswick is it just sort of like just have seemed to have found a switch here, like those 2 quick strikes as I mentioned in the first one here in the second half, and here they are looking for more. But it's Newfoundland Labrador with a much needed stop for the meantime, and they're going up the field with Jessica Smith, the ball carrier. They'll swing to the outside. Sherman, a little bit. Can she split the D? Yes, she does there for Newfoundland. So their best run here, maybe of the game, but definitely the second half so far.
And they'll look to move to the width again. Ball maybe went backwards, so they're able to keep playing. They could tell that Newfoundland identified the space was there for them out wide if they were able to move through the hands.
Newfoundland having some difficulty. It's kicked onto the ground. A little bit of a dump and chase is picked up here by Goodyear for Newfoundland. Bouncing ball hits the stand post. As we have a whistle stops play, so chance to catch up with referee here this one. So we'll take it field side and give you the sights and sounds.
Had a bit of discussion, but confident they've got the call right, so restarting play with a penalty here.
And New Brunswick have now taken in for another try, so 4 straight for them. And the thing about these 4 have been pretty much easy and quick strikes. So we take a look, it's just a little small tap and go, and there was a red wall there, but New Brunswick says we'll run through it. Thank you very much. To make it 27-20, a chance to make it 29 here. As New Brunswick is squaring it up. Eve taking her time to tee it up for the team in black. A chip shot, no wind, and announcer's jinx as she shakes that wide to stay 27-7. Okay, so we're going to put your coach's hat here on, Matt. Your team Newfoundland, you're down by 20. It's New Brunswick, and they've just seemed to have gotten these quick strikes, and it's just they haven't really had a chance to settle. So what do you got to do to settle your troops down here?
Yeah, I mean they're running their own race, and you know they're building lots of positives. I think they got a little bit ahead of themselves. They did some good things. They made that line break, and they knew that's a well-drilled team. They make the line break down one side. You know that the smart thing to do is to try to get it wide quickly to the other side. It's going to be hard for the defense to resource the whole width of the field like that. They're going to contract to where the line break was, and then they've just got to be patient to do that. Like, you know, obviously, nobody. It's a silly thing to say you don't want to drop the ball. Nobody ever wants to drop the ball, but you know, so you want to praise the inventiveness. You want to praise that they're looking to do the correct things, and just try and keep getting the successes that you want to see.
Well, one of the things that we've seen in this here in this second half so far has been that New Brunswick is dealing very well and has had the ball pretty much the majority of the time. And it's what we've said, like even during the warmer conditions when it was hot, humid, hazy earlier, is that if you're caught defended, sometimes if you're defended too much, you've just got no gas left. And so all of a sudden the team just pours on and getting more scores.
Yeah, and if you get your chance with the ball after a long stint of defending and there's a knock-on or a forward pass, sometimes that can be a little demoralizing. But, look, they've got their chance here. Just look to build through. They are moving the ball well through the hands. They're getting to the wide areas.
And, of course, when you have a big margin of a lead, you're allowed to joke as the player coach sort of joking along the sideline there.
That's a great result for a first phase pick there. They've gained, their 20 meters, and let's see what they settle into here.
A little bit of difficulty there for Euroshenko for Newfoundland. Banks. Quinton. And a steal by New Brunswick. Just past 33 minutes gone here in this one, and it's been New Brunswick with a very strong first half, and they've gotten like 4 quick strikes to sort of blow by here Team Newfoundland and have a 20-point lead.
Of course, all the divisions have the 4-try bonus point in the standing, so I think that's a checkbox. Every team that's looking to compete at the top of the group, you need to get those bonus points when you can. Make sure you're trying to avoid tiebreakers or putting all the chips in your favor as much as possible.
Scrum set to get underway. A 45-minute game, so we're going to be coming up, approaching 10 to go. And New Brunswick, boy, this is a burst of speed by New Brunswick. They get to the outside, and just a shoulder tackle there by Quinton to save it for the meantime for Newfoundland Rock.
Oh, she's done well to get back to her feet and steal that ball as well.
Down past the try line is play blown down. But that was a big, huge effort here by Quinton. The team trailing by 20 didn't give up because what a burst of speed that New Brunswick is. If we've seen this a lot here from them, is that they have got some speed to the outside, and they're taking advantage of it here in this game. And striking quickly, too.
Yeah, so through all of that, though, the result was Newfoundland brought that ball back into their own in goal and grounded it. So we've got a 5-meter scrum.
And New Brunswick happy to maybe try to kill some seconds, kill the clock. Up by 20, but looking to strike again. And they will get it down for another try. As they keep improving that margin, 32-7. Have to be impressed here with New Brunswick. Really, very solid game. It hasn't. As a coach, as of course an organizer with Nova Scotia Rugby, you've seen New Brunswick now. Very solid technically, you'd have to say.
Yeah, and dynamic. Lots of athletes that looking forward to the Nova Scotia New Brunswick games and seeing how they deal with some of the challenges that New Brunswick are have brought to present.
Back to live play. They were successful on the conversion to make it 34-7.
Yeah, we've got Allison LeBlanc and Madison Gillis and Adriana Platt. They've got a strong top line they can put out, and we'll be interested to see how the tournament progresses.
So set for the race start here, and it's Newfoundland Labrador Rock got off to a good start here. They've run into New Brunswick, and they have been just cooking with gas lately.
Once you can make those first 1 or 2 people miss, then you're really off to the races, and that's
the case in point. Boy, you called that right on the spot. As They're
So
now
maybe still
getting
Yves Gallant, only for the 13 doing all the kicking. Yeah, that's true of any sport. Soon as you pop in and make yourself more than one person's responsibility, the defense is in a scramble position and trying to make up for the first line break. And if you can keep the momentum and the pressure up, then you can find yourself getting some rewards for it.
play blown down.
It's a call you don't see all that often. Knocked on and then played by a player in front. I think that's our third time it's happened so far this game. The players not reacting to it.
Newfoundland would like to get something so they could carry over something positive into day number 2. New Brunswick with some solid tackling. Newfoundland try to get towards the middle to maybe see if there's something brewing there, but nothing. As the door shut by New Brunswick. This is a good little rush, but thank you very much. I'll just take that. Like taking bread away from the bread aisle at the grocery store from the person. Just thank you very much. I'll just take that.
Yeah, of course, an obvious thing to say, the ball retention is so important, but ball retention is so important.
Yeah. Because it's like basically sort of like even like football. If you have the ball out there, it's easily able to be knocked out of your hands, stolen easily. You'd like to tuck it in as close as possible.
Yeah, not many bad things can happen to you when you have the ball, so you like to keep that time as high as you can.
Getting close to the end of this one, and great effort here by New Brunswick. The ball possession early in this first half of this game was in favor of Newfoundland, but it just seemed like New Brunswick has found their game and are looking to be putting off a big test and showing what they could bring to the championship. So they're definitely putting they're letting all the competition be aware is that we're going to be a tough team to beat here at the championship. An easy, quick tap and go, and a turnover there right to Newfoundland Labrador. Right into the hands there of Nora Koch.
Yeah, we'll see this New Brunswick team take on the Nova Scotia U18s at 4:15 local time tomorrow.
Once again, trying to get another try.
And this Newfoundland team back in action at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning against the
That's
Nova
a quick
Scotia
turnaround
19s.
for them, especially after having a night game night before.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have that, it makes for harder, to fix the things that went wrong the night before, and then have not that much time to.
They'll get back into the residence. I mean, the nice thing about the tournament all being hosted here is they'll walk back to their residence rooms. I'm sure they'll get some, snacks and probably have a film session and no travel time. If they wake up and have breakfast, they'll have time for a little run through and still get back in and start your warm up at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you mentioned, this is a perfect place to hold it with the turf. Of course, we've had the rain, so if we were on grass, this would have been muck. And then you say the residents, just a hop, skip, and a jump away, couldn't ask for a better place to have a championship.
Yeah, happy with Blue Nose Rugby making that connection with King's Edgehill and helping to organize and facilitate. I think.
I'm sure it helps to have Kenzie Chichetto as the head coach there of King's Edgehill to maybe help to, pull a few strings here. Long-time assistant under Rory Campbell, so I just saw her in her previous game.
Yeah, and she's been fantastic, and yeah, Mark McLean with and McDougall with Blue Nose Rugby that have got some children that are students here at King's Edgehill, and I think the last year or two have really seen us to build the bond with Rugby Nova Scotia and King's Edgehill, and we're happy about that. They're gracious to let us use facilities for courses and training sessions, and hopefully it's a fruitful partnership for years to come.
In the meantime, another try 5 here for New Brunswick as they increase their lead, going up 39-7. Day one, we've seen everything. We haven't seen a conversion from these far sideline yet, so it's a very tough kick.
Well, that might be our best chance. Yeah, a little short, but it was a good strike.
Definitely right down the middle, but didn't have quite enough leg on it. So see what the Newfoundland Rock have on this restart. See if New Brunswick decide to kick it out and call it a night. As we're into extra time. Restart does go 10. Brunswick up to the 10-meter mark, but boy, they are just explosive. They're just like 1-2, and then like they just outrun. It's been a very technically solid game for them. Right down by the 22 by Newfoundland. Up to the middle, looking for some more. And just enough time to be brought down there by Quinton for Newfoundland Rock. Once again, 20, she has been solid, looking for her second try of the game, and she does succeed. Another try 5 for New Brunswick. That's what we said, is that Newfoundland spent a lot of time defending it, and harder to defend in rugby than to do offense.
Yeah,
it's a very tired unit.
New Brunswick was maybe rotating their squad a bit, getting everybody some game time, so we've got a short shift at the end here from Laurence Cormier, who I believe was player of the game in the last game, but yeah, started that off with a big snipe, and Adriana Plattis finished in the corner.
See, we're into extra time. See if this could be the final play, just almost like a carbon copy of how we ended the first half. And unsuccessful, and there's the 3 blows from the referee, as New Brunswick has come away with a very impressive performance, quick strikes at a 44-7 victory.
Yeah, and I think no team wants what they maybe feel like is undue praise, but impressed with Newfoundland's willingness and ability to move the ball side to side. I think they've got some great things to build off of, and in these tournaments, you get so much better from Thursday to Sunday. So excited to see what this team can come up with a few chances to review video and train together. But there's lots of good rugby played by both teams. Just a few more drops and a few missed tackles, and the score line is what it is. But I think a great day of rugby overall.
Yeah, well, thank you for your help on this. We're going to step aside for a little bit of break, and we'll get our post-game interview, and we'll wrap up day number 1 when we return. You're watching the 2025 UNIT Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships here on Maritime Athletic Profiles. What an impressive effort here by Team New Brunswick with an easy win over Newfoundland. I'm joined here by Adriana. You were a quick striking team. Like, you seemed to capitalize on some of the mistakes that have been made, and you turned them into points. So you must be happy about how your team has played.
Yes, very happy. We had a few kinks at the start, but we sorted them out and came out with a dominant win, so we're very excited.
Yeah, so of course this is a successful team that you've sent here. You're quick striking. You've got a lot of speed. So we were really impressed with. All of a sudden, like, you seem to capitalize. So as a team that sort of has come together with all kinds of club teams, you guys have bonded very well, know each other very well. So tell us about the success and what you did to have this success here today.
Absolutely. We have a very long summer. We start training very early on, as soon as possible, to try to get that connection flowing. A lot of us have played together in small groups with like high school or university teams, so bringing all that together as one on the field is our goal, so we're happy to do so tonight.
Well, let's get to know a little about you. So how did you get into this sport of rugby? Like, what made you hooked?
Well, I started in COVID, so we started with touch, and then we had our first contact game, and I fell in love, and I was like, I have to keep playing, so here we are 4 years later, and I'm still playing.
Yeah, so what are your future goals? Get into coaching or play as long as you can?
Play as long as I can and hope for the best.
All right, well, thank you, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
Adriana from Team New Brunswick with an easy win over Team Newfoundland here today. That will wrap up day number 1 of coverage here of the 2025 U19 Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships. So I want to thank our hardworking crew behind the cameras, working in such really tough conditions, wet conditions, hot conditions. Thank you for all of your hard work. So as well, we want to thank our commentators who have helped us throughout the day. So on behalf of all of them, my name is Dan Hobson. Thank you for joining us, and so long from Windsor.